Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, transparenttrading-solutions.com. Hope everybody's having a great trading week. We had obviously a continuation of the selling. It's been a kind of a slow, just grinding kind of drift lower. I'll actually show you that in a minute here. We did come off of some levels. We get down to 4,300 really close and bounce off the S&P. In any event, let me get into the charts again. I'm going to have a class coming up. Get some commentary in the channel there on the comment section, and sign up for the newsletter. I did write about a few things in particular and been focused on the VIX very carefully. Let's get right into the charts, everybody, and go from there. So we're going to move on to the charts. First chart I want to show everybody is the chart of the VIX. And why? Because, again, we've been talking about the VIX down at 13. You can literally mark the peak, this latest peak in the S&P. When the VIX hit 13 here on what day that was? That was on the 14th. You can see here, right along the 14th, we had, there's the peak right there. So right on the same day the VIX hit 13, pierced 14. You had the peak in the market. It has sold off almost 200 and what is it? 43. We're at 4,300. So it's almost a 250 point decline since then. We got the air. I apologize. There's some fighter pilots, fighter jets above my house here. They're we got the air show this weekend, so. That's what you hear in the background, sonic boom from these. In any event, yeah. So we've come full circle here, and now I'm looking at, we're going to come in and fill this gap, and we've actually got a little bit of a bounce this afternoon, but I do suspect that the VIX is probably going to come up above 20 before this latest bout of selling is going to be over with. We've had these before here back in May. If things do get really bad, wouldn't shock me if we get up to 30. I don't think they're going to get that bad, but you never know. I mean, this was like banking. This was the banking crisis and all that. That's really what caused that. And you never know. I mean, these rates jumping like that could have another situation. But for now, I think, garden variety pullback takes us maybe up to, up to this 2021. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I am looking to get long. What was interesting too is, clearly all the selling has been in the NASDAQ. Even today, we had big selling in some of the AI stocks and some of the mega caps, Apple and so forth. We also got caught a little bit of a bounce already. Under the surface, it's really interesting. A lot of stocks are holding up relatively well. I actually mentioned the other day Dollar Tree, and that was actually up today. So that was interesting. And then also really fascinating is the small caps. The small caps are just kind of languishing here, but they're not giving way. In fact, we just came up a little bit shy of this level here in the small caps. I do think if we get another leg down on the market, this is probably going to get violated and probably head down to here. So it's going to be interesting. But through all that, the small caps have largely held pretty steady. This could be bullish in the long term. So if you're looking for a catch-up trade, this may be it, because again, maybe these are just so sold out that there's nothing left to sell. A lot of times, when you get these kind of like with Dollar Tree and some of these bombed out stocks. So we'll see what happens. Interest rates clearly still the driver. We keep going higher in interest rates. We're right up against that 108 level that's a weekly level on the 10-year. We did touch it kind of last night. We try to get a bounce right back down again, yields at over 5.5. And you know, we are long TLT. I think I mentioned that the other day. We are long TLT. You know, down a little bit on that one, not a big deal. We're taking on a small option position in that, just because I do believe we are closer to the peak in interest rates. Obviously, nobody knows where these are going to peak. Could they go to 5%? Of course, but I you know, with everybody talking about it, I think we're probably closer to that. The sentiment has gotten way bearish on bonds and so forth. So that's kind of where we're at. And relative to any levels, obviously these are, you know, huge levels on the bond market right now. The only, and this is actually at an all-time high on the contract. So it's kind of tough to pinpoint any kind of areas here because of, you know, this is the futures 10-year yield mini contract, micro contract, but you know, that's an all-time high, so there's nothing there. Dollar also continues to grind, and it has literally been just a grind higher. You know, we did take out that peak. We pulled back. We're pulling back slightly off of these levels, and the next level really comes up around 106. Let's call it 106.50. You know, you know, this obviously is very extended. The fact that it keeps grinding higher is partly why it keeps going up. You know, generally when you have an exhaustion in the trend or whatever, you're probably going to have a big spike. So, you know, like here, you know, notice that was the spike that culminated in that rally. So we may have to have a spike, even like here. You see that spike up to here culminated in this rally. So we haven't had that, and we may need to have that to end, you know, at least get a much bigger pullback in the dollar. And you know, this is also looking like the euro is coming down to some decent levels here. I'm interested in buying the euro or some of these other currencies. The other currencies really aren't doing a whole lot. You know, the yen is still holding above its highs. The British pound is the one that's been just under a lot of pressure, very grindy, and there's, you know, there hasn't really been a bunch of pullbacks to get involved in this, to be honest. I mean, you know, it's just been drifting and drifting. Now we're finally getting into some levels that may make sense in the British pound to go long, but we're still a long ways away from that. So it's going to be so this has been under a lot of pressure relative to, you know, if you look at, for instance, the New Zealand and Australia, those have been just kind of chopping around here, which is right. And then the Mexican peso, we talk about that. That's actually coming into a decent level here as well. Canada also just chopping around as well. So nothing going on there. And then, you know, gold and silver also kind of succumbing to the strength of the dollar, but nothing of, you know, looks like gold maybe looking to break 1900 finally, and you know, forming some levels along the way. The other market I'm looking at is platinum around 900 as well. Oil also coming since last time we were together on Friday. Just again, I mentioned that we were kind of in a consolidation, kind of just keep chopping around back and forth. And it looks like, again, we may take another leg higher. It's going to be interesting to see. But you can see we're clearly in a consolidation between 88 and 91. Clearly want to give the buyers, the bulls, the benefit of the doubt. The question becomes, how high do they take this? Looking at the longer term chart of oil, once we break above that, looks like 97, something like that. There's a pivot at 97. But you know, we'll see. Wouldn't surprise me also if we pulled back hard, maybe even back down to, you know, 86. So we still haven't broken above that. This consolidation will probably be resolved probably by the end of this week. You know, everything else really, grains just kind of chopping around here as well. back and forth, nothing really to talk about there. And, you know, again, under the surface, lots of stuff going on. It's really, I want to show you, like, for instance, you know, today's all the selling was clearly in the mega caps. You can see Apple coming down to that 170, Microsoft down today as well. So all the mega caps drove a lot of the selling today. On one hand, right, you can see a lot of these stocks are coming into some really important levels. However, if you look at, for instance, AMD, which that hasn't done anything. That's just been hanging tough right here around 95. I mean, you know, again, in the face of all the selling in the NASDAQ, this thing is hanging in there. Tesla hanging in there. Just right. Look at that. So it's really fascinating what's going on under the surface amid all the you know, all the selling in the averages. That there are some stocks, and you know, this Dollar Tree that I mentioned the other day. I actually did a class. This Dollar Tree's hanging in there pretty good. In fact, you know, I'm looking at some of these stocks that are pretty bombed out to get long, because yeah, in fact, today this stock was actually up, bucking the overall trend. So just something to look at. These obviously are options plays. So again, if you're interested in learning about options, you know, I did a class. I have a bunch of, I may do another class on that. If you have any interest in learning about options, contact me at Transparent Trading Solutions, support at transparenttrading-solutions.com. I will be probably putting together another class soon. If you're interested in that, go ahead and contact me there as well. If not, let's see what happens. We got core PCE on Friday, which may be another catalyst. But obviously the market catalyst right now is generally, you know, interest rates, how high they're going to go. Obviously it's, you know, we're coming into some really concrete levels. That 108 on the 10-year, I think if we can keep bouncing around there, we may get some kind of a relief rally in interest rates. And again, we are at fever pitch with everybody talking about it. So that's generally when the market turns, but it could take a little bit of while here as well. Okay. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you on Friday. Take care.